Hey students, we're back and I'm going to be moving a little more quickly through these last sentence patterns just because I want to make sure I fit it all in this video. But let's get started. So pattern 3 is essentially a general statement or idea, a colon, and then a specific statement or example. So let's take a look. Remember the advice of Benjamin Franklin, colon, early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Let's look at the next example. All agreed she was well qualified, colon. She graduated from Harvard with a 4.0 grade point average. So students oftentimes are like, how do I know when to use a semicolon or a colon? They seem very similar. There's complete sentences on both sides. They seem related. Like, what's the difference? It's a very good question. So when you use a colon, it sets up an idea and then provides an example. And so there's a little kind of like word trick that I like to use to help me know if I've used a colon correctly. So it says, remember the advice of Benjamin Franklin. Well, what is the advice of Benjamin Franklin? Well, the advice is early to bed and early to rise makes and blah, blah, blah. And so it's the idea that if you can kind of turn this into a question and this answers it, the colon is appropriate. Let's try it again here. All agreed she was well qualified. Well, why was she well qualified? Well, she graduated from Harvard with a 4.0. So if you can do the, well, why is this true? Oh, well, it's true because of this. We know that you have an example that's defining an idea. So idea, an example, connect it with a colon. All right, next up we have A, B, C, a series without a conjunction. Loyalty, pride, family, dash. These all fueled his determination. Then we see it again here. Their love endured, despite the distance of space, the longevity of time, the fleetingness of the human heart. Well, I ruined the meaningfulness of that sentence. That's okay. So what we see here is that you have a series without a conjunction. You essentially break a rule you've been taught, which is when you have a list at the very end of the list, you should add in an and. Loyalty, pride, and family. Now, the reason why we have this sentence pattern is because it creates more of a sense of intensity, and also it allows for a more fluid list. It doesn't kind of break off that last part. So loyalty, pride, family. And then we have this dash that emphasizes the list's intensity even more and then offers this all fueled his determination. So it's a super stylistic sentence. I love it. And then here we see the same thing. Their love endured despite, and then it lists the things that endured despite distance, longevity, fleetingness. And here we have a really nice use of parallel structure. The blank of blank, the blank of blank, the blank of the blankety blank. And so it's really beautiful and fluid. And so we see kind of the two ways it can be used to create intensity and to create kind of this beautiful fluid list. And both would be ruined by adding in that conjunction. And so essentially what this is teaching you is you can drop a conjunction if there is a stylistic reason to do so in the tone. All right, pattern 4A. This is the opposite where you use a bunch of conjunctions. And so if you've already done literary terms, you will know that this actually has a specific literary term for it called asyndaton. And this one is Polysyndaton. And if you haven't gotten to that yet in the course, you will eventually, but there's actually words for what these sentence structures are doing. So Polysyndaton occurs when you use multiple conjunctions kind of unnecessarily in a sentence, or you use them for a stylistic purpose. So there's too much to do today. And look, we're mixing our patterns. Here we have a colon. So there's too much to do today. Oh, well, what all do you have to do? Well, I have to complete practice problems for math and chapter readings for English and World War I research for history and lab questions for science. You might identify with this sentence. But what's happening here is the multiple use of ands, so the multiple use of conjunctions and. What this does is the opposite of what we talked about before. Instead of creating a flow, it creates this choppy list where it's like I have to do this and this and this. And so it makes the number of items on the list seem more numerous. It slows down the list. It makes it feel laborious, which is the purpose of it, because this is intended to communicate, I have a lot to do. And the use of ands emphasizes that the person has a lot to do. And that's what I'm talking about when you choose to use these syntactic styles. It should have a purpose to emphasize or communicate something further, just in the way you've written the sentence. Let's look at another example. As long as the river shall run to the sea, our shadows touch the mountains, our stars graze in the vault of this heaven. So here they actually use commas. Generally with this sentence style you don't need to, but I've seen it both ways. So you can use a comma and the conjunction if you wanted to, or you could just use the conjunction. Here the purpose isn't to kind of make it feel laborious, but it is to give each of these images kind of their own space so we can see them as separate. So we see the river running down to the sea, and then we see the shadows touch the mountains. And then we see the stars grazing the vault of the heaven. If we didn't have these conjunctions here, these images would kind of mush together, and we might not see each one as an individual entity. And so what this allows is it emphasizes each separate image. So those are the different ways in which you might use this polysyndaton or this pattern 4a. All right, pattern 5, a series of balanced pairs, A and B, C and D, E and F. So this utilizes something similar to polysyndaton, but it's actually pairing ideas. Let's take a look at it to better understand. The novel seeks to establish distinction between the often confused emotions of love and like, trust and dependency, intimacy and lust. So interestingly, we see here that there's no conjunction where we would traditionally put it. It would make the sentence structure way too wordy. There'd be too many conjunctions. But what it does is it has 3 paired ideas that are then listed without the conjunction in them. The teacher grouped the students for their next project, pairing Lisa and Theo, Lawrence and Natalie, DeAndre and Cassandra. So we see it again. We have the pairs, no conjunction here where we might put it. And let's look at another example. No man is really happy or safe without a hobby, and it makes precious little difference what the outside interest might be. Botany, beetles, or butterflies, semicolon. Roses, tulips, or irises, semicolon. Fishing, mountaineering, or antiques, dash. Anything will do so long as he straddles the hobby and rides it hard. So this has a ton of patterns used all together. We see the dashes that set off an interrupting clause. We see semicolons separating a complex lists, which is another pattern that we'll get to eventually. But what this one actually indicates here is the use of paired, kind of these pairs here. So botany, beetles, or butterflies are the pair here. Roses, tulips, or irises. So essentially bugs, flowers, outdoorsing plus old stuff. So essentially it pairs these things. Now here, while we can separate the pairings with commas, the reason why they separate the pairings here with semicolons is because the pairs already have commas in it. Imagine if this was a comma too. It'd be super confusing. It would just be botany, comma, beetles, comma, or butterflies, comma, roses, comma. And so this is essentially used as a super comma to distinguish the fact that these are grouped together. That's a pretty complex sentence. These are easier to understand in how to use pattern 5. But this would come into handy for very specific instances where you have multiple sets of paired information that you would like to list. But it could save you a lot of time. Imagine if you try to communicate all this information in 3 sentences. Oh, it'd be so much. Or if you try to just make it one long list, it wouldn't work. So the pairing helps very clearly indicate this information in a very small set of space. Very useful. All right, pattern 6, an introductory series of appositives. So here's where we've seen this a couple times already with the dash. We saw it here, loyalty, pride, family, dash. So we're actually going to learn this pattern now. So when do you use this kind of dash strategy? So Occaneechi, Meherrin, Sapini, Cherokee, dash. These American Indian tribes are all present in North Carolina. So what you have here is a list. Again, it doesn't use any conjunctions, so it just lists, in this case, the names of different tribes. And then you have a dash followed by a summary of what all these words have in common. To dance, to sing, to eat cupcakes, dash. Such are the goals of a well-spent life. And so for all of these, you essentially follow with a summary of why these are important. These words include, what are summary words? Oh, and so when you create the summary, you can feel free to use these words. Traditionally in a sentence style, you will see this word following it. So these, such. There's certain summary words, such, all, those, this, many, each, which, what, these, something, someone. So you'll have some kind of summary word following the dash, but not every time. And so if we look at here, we see loyalty, pride, family. These all fueled his determination. So a summary of what these things are, these are the things that fueled his determination. And that's how that sentence structure works. All right, last one, but it is a two-parter. So you have an internal series of appositives or modifiers. So again, this is another example of how you might use dashes, but also parentheses. So this year's novels, The Great Gatsby, Slaughterhouse-Five, Death of a Salesman, will all concern the American dream. And so essentially what the dashes allow is an interrupting kind of list. So the kind of heart of the sentence is, this year's novels will all concern the American dream. That's our sentence. But then what the writer does is they want to insert what the novels are. To be able to do this without making the sentence confusing, they put dashes on both sides and then list the books. The reasons why they don't use commas is because it would look very confusing. This year's novels, comma, The Great Gatsby, comma, Slaughterhouse-Five, comma, Death of the Salesman, comma, will all concern the American dream. When someone reads that at first, they're going to have trouble understanding what the sentence actually is saying. The dashes work like the commas, but since they're a different form of punctuation, it better offsets the list of titles and shows them as interrupting the sentence. You can also interrupt a sentence with parentheses if you would prefer. The difficulties of driving seem to be growing in number on I-40. So that's the sentence. And here's the interrupter. Traffic, road closures, dangerous drivers, potholes. So these are all the difficulties of driving. These are all the novels. Notice how it's essentially a list of examples following the subject. And here we have the kittens, quickly, quietly, with malicious intent, came for us. So the heart of the sentence is, the kittens came for us. And then between these interrupting dashes, there's a descriptor of the kittens, a list of descriptions. This is a very fun pattern, and one you could definitely use in your narrative essay, as you're supposed to be using a lot of descriptions and lists. So I could definitely see you guys using this one. All right, last one. So a single, a positive, or pair. So this one's very similar to the other, where we have a positive interrupting. So a sudden burst of sound, thunder, startled me. So it's similar to this, except instead of having a list interrupt, a list of descriptors or a list of examples, we just have kind of a shorter interruption of clarification. So the sound is thunder. Many people, especially teachers, especially teachers clarifies what they mean by many people, say that reading needs to take a front seat in education. The first woman to serve in the U.S. Congress, Jeannette Rankin, was elected 4 years before women could vote. So we see here it's similar, but it's much shorter, and it quickly defines the preceding term. Thunder, sound, teacher, people, Jeannette Rankin, Congress. Now you might be curious, when would you use dashes versus parentheses versus commas? There's actually different reasons to use them. It's not just kind of like writer's choice. So when you use parentheses, that indicates a whisper or an aside. So you would read this number 2. I just pointed like you could see what I'm pointing at. You can read number 2 like this. Many people, especially teachers. So it's that whisper or that aside. So parentheses indicate a de-emphasis of tone. So if you want to de-emphasize a tone, you put it in parentheses. Dashes do the opposite. They emphasize in tone. A sudden burst of sound, thunder, startled me. So if you would like whatever you kind of insert in your sentence to be dramatic, or if you want to emphasize its importance, you'd put it in dashes. And last but not least, commas indicate no change in tone. U.S. Congress, Jeannette Rankin. So stays the same. And I finished just in the nick of time. I'm excited to see you guys use these sentences. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.